nutmeg. Hey guys, this isn't a troll thread or bait, so please don't respond. Bait. Or. Obvious troll thread is obvious. Or shit like that. I like the recreational use of nutmeg, which, as you may or may not know, can get you high when eaten in a tablespoon dose, but it gets a really bad rap in drug forums and in discussions of its recreational use. I wanted to talk about this and see what you guys think of it. Strange as it may seem, I've had almost entirely good experiences with nutmeg the 8 to 10 times I've done it in the past 365 days of my life or so. And yeah, to further preempt criticism, I know. It's a teenage drug for people who can't get access to real psychedelics, etc., etc. I've tried LSD, psilocybin, and salvia. I certainly like them all in their own way, but I also like nutmeg. I wouldn't rank them, but they're all good in their own way. Some common criticisms of nutmeg are: I took 8 tablespoons, 12 hours later I started throwing up, felt like I was going to die, felt like shit, couldn't comprehend reality, was dehydrated and had flu-like symptoms for upwards of 48 hours. Yeah, no shit, when you start with a huge dose, you'll get fucked up. My suggested range is 1 to 4 tablespoons, for being pretty high, and I'd suggest you start out lower. In fact, it seems notoriously hard to dose, since it seems very sensitive to different metabolisms. If you start out with 1 or 2 tablespoons, though, I don't think there's any chance of it being too strong. Also, of course, drink lots of water while taking it, and make sure to keep drinking water to stave off dehydration. Another common criticism is its delirium throw. All it makes you do is get delirious. I have gotten slightly paranoid, delirious at the peak of higher doses, but this is also something that can happen on psychedelics, or, hell, weed. Delirium is a crude way to classify it. On lower doses, all I got was a pleasant, long-lasting very weed-like high, no delirium whatsoever. In fact, even on my highest dose, the delirious, paranoid feeling was not unmanageable, and only lasted so long as I was in an uncomfortable situation. So what would I describe the nutmeg high feeling like? It's, as I said, very similar to taking a pretty strong and really long-lasting edible at times. It also, however, feels somewhat more mystical, gentle, and lucid-minded than weed. There's also some pretty cool derealization, dissociative effects thrown into the mix. Closed-eye visuals can be present in a dark room. At a higher dose or with residing, you can even get some OEMs at the peak, but the visual aspect isn't really the reason I do it. I would describe the visuals as staticky, bits of color and faint patterns over everything, not the breathing, warping of psilocybin and acid, or detailed fractals you can see at higher doses of them. Like weed, it increases tactile enjoyment, can give an amazingly pleasant, even opiate-like body high at the peak, and extremely increases delight in eating, as well as a lot in laughter, humor, and music appreciation. In fact, without a doubt, the greatest music appreciation I've had on a drug has been on nutmeg. You can also, of course, get some of that philosophical, psychological insight you may be chasing after in psychedelics. I wrote down some pretty interesting, to me, stuff about mysticism while peaking on nutmeg, and read it later and was pleasantly surprised. In my peak experience on nutmeg, I was in a dark room listening to music on headphones and I felt like I was floating off my body, and felt transcendent bliss, both a great body high and music appreciation and philosophical consideration about the meaning of my life and meaning of art, music, for about an hour or two before falling asleep. So what do you think, Cadence? Do I just have a luckily good metabolism for this? Too long, didn't read. I think nutmeg gets a bad rep. I'm not a troll, I've tried it a few times and think it's pretty cool.
I've done it, hated it. All enjoyable effects of myristicin or MMDA are shrouded by the shitty anticholinergics in it. You'd be better off getting myristicin oil. Nutmeg is an experience that seems like it makes you want to feel good, but you just can't, and then you end up feeling nothing for the next 12 hours, but really tired and shitty overall. Not worth it IMO. Just do fucking DXM if you want an ease of access drug.
I tried nutmeg when I didn't have any weed. I found it made my body feel numb. I felt really delirious and my vision felt choppy, like a frame skip effect. I once had a high dose and felt like I was dying and fell into a deep 15-hour sleep, then woke up laughing manically. It is interesting to me, but I don't think I would pick it out if I had access to weed or shrooms, etc.
Nutmeg is for novice. Oil ayahuasca is for adepts.
I've had an ego death from smoking weed on nutmeg. It was no joke.
I've done nutmeg. It was horrible. It was exactly deliriant, like a fever dream. Things seemed much further away than they were and every action was difficult and unpleasant, lending to inactivity. -1 out of 10. Would not do again.
Like my brownie recipe. Grate 7 whole nutmegs. Grind ounce of weed, cook into butter, mix into brownie mix. When done, serve with wine and garnish with decorative square of paper.
I keep seeing stuff about nutmeg all over the place. What, was there a nutmeg renaissance while I've been away?
Indeed, we ditched the size and came on to nutmeg big time.
Nutmeg is gay, no bum.
Nutmeg is amazing with the right enzymatic inhibition and synergistic substances. One of my favorites. I do it once a week generally, but I'm starting to build a tolerance to it. My nutmeg experiences have been as enjoyable as weed highs, and I exclusively use edibles or hash milk, and as worthwhile and valuable in a larger context as LSD trips. One of the most memorable moments was when I was watching this video on nutmeg, and I could see it, I could see how it worked, and it was absolutely mind-blowing to be able to feel the concept and visualize something I never imagined I could experience in my mind's eye. Also, music on ayahuasca is absolutely mind-blowing. I've found tracks on nutmeg evenings that absolutely blew my mind and sent me down wells of bliss that I deleted the next day because they did absolutely nothing for me sober, and even on weed didn't produce that effect. I love nutmeg, and anyone that says it's shit is just ignorant of how to use it.
Great, you've sold me on nutmeg. I did it a few times ages ago, but this ayahuasca thing has me intrigued.
I too am curious. We need more guinea pigs. We should keep this thread active and folks should try it out and report back. From what I've read though, it would seem ayahuasca is more like a phenethylamine experience. So if anyone else with considerable psi experience, small amounts of disposable income and large amounts of free time would like to give it a shot, more different perspectives is always nice. Part of the problem for me though is I've only ever messed with tryptamines and morning glory / Hawaiian baby wood rose.
I have a great mix which I do not recommend trying whole at first, as it is very likely to fry your fucking heart. The first few times I did it, it really made my heart race and hurt, and not in the good exciting psychedelic fun way. I slowly modified and increased the dosages, and now I'm so used to it, but I'd start off very light. Nutmeg plus guarana plus cola nut plus betel nut plus calamus powder plus cacao powder plus chili powder plus instant coffee powder plus cinnamon plus clove powder plus cayenne pepper plus black pepper powder plus paprika powder plus golden poppy powder. I mix all those powders all together and add to it a tea made out of allspice plus Celestris paniculatus plus vanilla sticks plus calamus root, redundant but it works, plus valerian root plus nigella sativa. 1 hour before ingesting this brew, I take ceticoline plus quercetin plus glucosamine plus bacopa plus N-acetylcysteine plus mucuna pruriens plus 500 mg pomegranate extract. When I drink the brew, I have another big shot of grapefruit juice and some more pomegranate extract. This shit is so good, I'd say it's overall the best drug experience that exists for me. Not my favorite, because for instance I get more out of LSD, and weed is just amazing all around, and MDMA is so much more amazing, but this ayahuasca brew just gives everything. It's psychedelic, it's stimulant, it's relaxing, it's creative, music sounds amazing, it's amazingly nootropic, and I used it to write my thesis, and I've written most of my essays on it for my masters. I've had some of the most amazing workouts that allowed me to push my body to the absolute brink, like 20 minutes of stair climbing with 20 kilograms of weights. It's insane, it's given me psychedelic revelations. Sometimes I spend the entire evening gaming, and holy fuck, in a game like Rocket League I just demolish everyone, then end up losing all my matches the next few days because I've ranked up too much, shit like that. But, don't just take this whole thing straight from the go, it's very likely to kill you. This brew started out as just like guarana, coffee powder, nutmeg, chili pepper, cayenne pepper, cinnamon and raw cacao.
I've been building it up to what it is now for almost 2 years, and I really desperately don't want anyone to hurt themselves by taking this whole combo on the go, so take this post as a kind of insight into what's possible with nutmeg and experiment for yourself, carefully and gradually. That ayahuasca link will provide you with a shitload of information on metabolic and enzymatic interactions, inhibitions and mechanics that you absolutely need to know before you combine any of these substances in your body. If anyone is curious about this brew, ask me specific shit, because I could write an entire fucking thesis worth of how this shit works and what is possible with it.
Wow, you're really into nutmeg.
I'm really into everything. Nature is absolutely full of so many substances that can interact in so many ways with our receptors, and you can mix them in so many ways. I do this with any plant that could have similar effects, but nutmeg is the only one I've found so far that you can boost this much. Most substances, plants can tolerate 2 to 3 additional plants, substances and still maintain synergetic effects. Beyond that, it usually becomes a hazy experience. Really versatile and great plants can take like 6 to 10, for instance cannabis. Nutmeg can so far take fucking 30 and still kick amazing ass.
Fucking A, you're like an alchemist, brewing potions from flowers and plants. Do you know anything about this sample?
But don't just take this whole thing straight from the go, it's very likely to kill you.
It does get quite a lot of hate. I almost didn't try it because people kept telling me it was an awful idea online, but in the end I got too curious and gave it a try anyway.